Hey, welcome back. Today what we're going to work on is fillets. I always get asked, how do I do my fillets? And I'm going to show you. It's real simple. It takes no time at all. So first off, what we're going to do is we're going to tape the line on the center of the wing where we'd like the fillet to be. I usually come out about 3/16 of an inch from the fuselage side. Now this particular airplane has a fillet at the flap, so we're going to have to take the tape off when the material hardens up, and I'll show you how I spread that in there. One thing I'd like to add, when you silk span down to the fuselage and you dope in that corner, it's always pulling. I take a razor blade and cut that because we don't want the fillet to lift up from the dope pulling. So you want to get that line clean and make sure there's nothing pulling at the seam. And take your fingernail and push it down in there. That way there's no chance that the fillet is going to lift. And then take another piece of tape and about 3/16 up on the fuselage, run another line. Now masking tape doesn't bend in an outside curve, so you're going to have to use several short strips to go around the curve. And just keep it about 3/16 all the way. It's a real easy process. Superfil is by far better than epoxylite. Lighter, easier to sand. The work time is longer. Now, I've been doing this quite a few years, so I got it pretty much down to a science on how much material it takes. So it's going to be a trial and error for you on material at first, but it's not hard to pick up. Okay, so now we have approximately 1/4 inch to 3/8 of an inch between the tape on the wing and the tape on the top. 3/16 up, 3/16 out. And that'll give a nice fillet. So I take a mixing cup, and the Superfil is 2-to-1. 2 parts of the blue, 1 part of the white. This is not a science project. It doesn't have to be exact. I just eyeball it. Take the amount of blue that I think it's going to take to do that fillet. And I think it's going to take approximately that much. Yeah, maybe a little more. So we'll dab it in there. 1 more lump in there. Better to mix too much than not have enough to do the job. Okay. Do not cross-contaminate the 2 parts. Otherwise you'll end up with a big rock in one of them. So I use another popsicle stick, fresh, for the white. So you look in here and you see how much you have, and I just eyeball approximately half. Keep daubing it out until you got approximately half the amount of the blue in there. There we go. Like I say, it doesn't have to be exact. If you're going to err more on the white side, which is the hardener. That way you don't have to wait a year for it to dry. Usually takes about, it'll set up in about an hour. And then 24 hours to completely cure. A little bit more. Okay. So we have approximately 2 to 1, and does not have to be exact. I know there are many that'll say, "Oh yes, it does." No, it doesn't. I've only done it 10 million times. Never had an issue. Mix it real good. When you think you got it mixed, mix it again. It'll change to an aqua color. Kind of a light blue-green. And mix it around real good. So now we have a cup of this putty. I know it's rather boring to watch an empty video of the airplane, but I want to make sure you get the steps down. Okay, so here we have it, and I just take the popsicle stick and I dab it out onto the area. And it looks like I mixed way more than I needed. I might have to go over and do the other side too. I get them both done. I usually only do one side at a time, mix enough material and then retape and move to the other side. Okay, we have quite the lump going on there, and it don't look real good, but not to worry, it's not a big deal. There are no set ways to do this. This takes practice. Basically like flying it, you know. The more you do it, the better you get at it. Okay, I have quite a bit in there. It doesn't look real great. I just take my finger and make a nice fillet. Some say that finger oil or whatever hurts it, but I have yet to have that happen. I'm going to show you another secret to making a perfect fillet. Some guys use a prop blade, some guys use a marble. I just use my finger. Okay, it's all smoothed out. It's roughed in there. One side. See, it's not a big deal. Okay, now that we got that roughed in there, we take the tape off. Take it off while it's still wet. Throw the tape away. Now I'm going to show you the biggest secret on how to save yourself the sanding. It looks pretty good. It's pretty close. but it ain't quite perfect. Now, go to the store and buy your own bottle of 91 proof isopropyl alcohol. If you don't buy your own, your wife may kill you. I just take my finger, stick it in the tube, or in the top like this, turn it over, get it wet, and slide it over like that. Perfect. Perfect. Not a big deal. I do that one time, and then we're going to wait for the material to set up, and I'll come back when it's set up and completely blended in. You don't have to sand it at all except for to scuff it to rough it up to accept paint. Now in this area right here, I have a little ledge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of the extra that I mixed up here and dab it in. So now we have a clump, and I use a straight or single edge razor blade as a trowel and trowel that. Take this off. And the closer you make it by troweling and manipulate it, the less sanding you'll have to do. And that's a good thing. That's good enough for now. When it hardens up a little, I'll come back and do the other side. So now, like I said, because I mixed up so much of this, we'll go ahead and do the other side as a recap. So once again, oh, I don't like that. It needs some more material. More material there. Big clod. I'm afraid I'm not going to get away with no sanding there. Okay, we have enough material in there. Now, remember, keep the 91 proof alcohol on your finger while you're smoothing it out. Yeah, we'll have to sand that. Not a big deal. It sands like butter. Okay, let's do the other side. Recap on how it's done. Take the flap off this side. Piece of tape, 3/16 out at the root. You do this after the silk span is on everything. If you don't, when you sand it, you'll be digging the wood. Okay, that's that part. Remember, doing this is it's all about making it easy on yourself. I see so many guys have such problems. And I think it's just because of not knowing the correct materials, the correct procedure. And this is something that I didn't learn overnight. It took quite a few years to develop all these techniques. Back when I first got involved in this, everything was a secret, so you couldn't hardly pry anything out of Tom. But it's not a secret anymore because we got internet. Okay, we got that in there. Boy, this is getting warm now, so we gotta hurry. That means I probably only got about 10 minutes work time left. And once it kicks, it hardens up. The less hardener you use, the longer work time you'll have. There was a guy on the forum that mentioned that he mixed it 50-50. Well, okay, it'll work. You just don't have a whole lot of work time. You better get on the ball. See, you could leave this all a clump and sand it to shape, but why? It is starting to harden. Okay, we got it on there. Make sure you get the tape off right away, because if you don't, it'll dry on there, and when you pull it off, it'll have all kind of ragged edges. So we got that on there, and a little bit of goobers there. Okay, 91 proof alcohol. I have my little spot that needs filled at the trailing edge of this fillet. Scrape the excess off here. Put it right there. These little added extra details, they look nice, but boy, they're a pain. Keep working that fillet until it's perfect. That's real nice. That will fill real nicely. Okay, do the other side. It's become stiff now. It's not runny, so it's not dry, but it's not stiff. I mean, it's not running. It's stiff, so you can manipulate it better, like putty. .91 proof rubbing alcohol, 91% works better than the 30% or whatever, and I believe it's because it melts the dope. Because 91% isopropyl alcohol will take fresh dope off. You put it on a paper towel and rub overspray off with 91 proof alcohol, 91%. Anyway, that's putting a fillet on. I have the front done, the tail done on the top. We'll turn it over, we'll do the bottom. I'll do that off camera. There's no need for redundance to show you over and over again how it's done. But relatively simple, quick amount of time. There won't be a whole lot of sanding. I'll show you the sanding that needs to be done on it, which is just a 320 cleanup. It's not a grinding of the fillets like the old days of epoxylite where you had to use 80 grit sandpaper. I just 220, roll it up on a stick and rub it back and forth just to give it some tooth for the primer to stick to. Make sure that you use the DC 540 primer on fillets, otherwise you'll have lifting problems. I saw a lot of that at the Nationals this year. Guys don't know how to keep the fillets from lifting. The next trick on fillets is don't paint them. I know, well, you say, well, I gotta paint them. They gotta be the same color. No, you don't. When you paint down the wing, you stop. You let the overspray go into the fillet. When you paint the fuselage, you overspray into the fillet. If you direct paint into the fillet area, because dope is always shrinking, it's going to be lifting and want to tighten up from one side to the other. And when it tightens up, it lifts right off the fillet. So the least amount of dope that you can get in the fillet, the better. So don't paint the fillet, use primer. Make sure that the fillet has tooth so that the paint has something to stick to. So what I mean by tooth is don't sand with 600 or 400 or 800 or 1000 grit sandpaper. Get it slick as glass. It won't stick. You got to have 320 minimum for tooth. So I hope that gives you a lesson on how to do a fillet. Real simple. Took 5 minutes. And when it dries, I'll sand them up. Clean, take about 5 minutes sanding, shoot some primer on it, we're done. So we'll see you on the next video.